We're going to talk about, we just a little bit ago got out of Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Yeah.
Talking about that. We're talking about Mandalorian, and then we're doing our Mayhem comic of the week. So
I can't sing it this week because my voice is shot, but good thing we recorded it.
Yeah.
So I don't have to sing it live like I do every week.
Mm.
You know, that's hard on my voice. That's why I recorded a version of it.
So let's talk about Shazam, Fury of the Gods. A movie.
Does it really need to have a spoiler-free thing? Like, there's no real.
I mean, outside of people like us, I don't think a lot of people are going to see this movie.
Say start with Pizza Time, man.
I don't even have it up.
You son of a bitch.
It's not even worth it.
You fucking asshole.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, everybody. Pizza Time.
Spoiler.
We're going to talk about this whole movie.
Yeah.
I will say, right out of the gate, spoiler-free. I'm going to give this movie a high mark.
Oh, yeah, we can give spoiler-free reviews, yeah.
Yes, I want to do that quickly. And
Sounds
then,
good.
And then we'll go into that. But without talking about anything in particular, I think it's the same things that I love. This is what's so frustrating. So this doesn't have the best Rotten Tomatoes score right now. And I've learned...
Is it audience or critic?
Critic score. It's like a 56 or something, which is technically Rotten.
What movie did they see?
Well, the movie isn't perfect. None of these movies are perfect.
No.
But I think for what I came into, what I expected, it took everything I loved from the first movie and added to it, made it better, gave more character
Almost
moments.
amplified it.
Surprised me with how much character development they actually gave. Now, clearly they have a lot of characters to juggle, so they're going to focus on a few characters more than others. That's just how it is with an ensemble like this sometimes. But I think the moments that we got were great, and I really, really enjoy. And I love that first movie. I think this is, for me, just as good, if not better, than the first one. I loved both these movies. This one, very much so.
As everybody who listens to our show knows, I am a Marvel shill. I'd like to be like, no, but I mean,
No, I'm not.
I mean, I got to be honest. I totally.
You
am.
literally came in here before we recorded when we were like talking about this Avengers comic. You're like, look at it, just look at it.
It
was cool art. I'm not saying it
before
wasn't.
we leave, I'm gonna talk about that. Okay. Yes.
No, we gotta we gotta stick to a schedule.
I fucking hate you. Okay, so no, but we were sitting.
Stay focused.
We were sitting in Flicks, and I turned to you and I said, you know what? I had made this kind of like a when you tell yourself something, you're like, I'm gonna da 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 whatever. And I was like, I'm going to give this movie a lot more open-mindedness and a way more open chance than I did, say, Black Adam.
So let me ask you that before we get into the spoilers of this.
Sure.
Why does you think that Shazam gets a pass, a little bit more leeway than, say, Black Adam? Because Black Adam took itself too seriously?
Because I was being, I was not being a good theater goer by being like, I'm not gonna fucking like this fucking movie. Like, fucking don't go then, dude. Just fucking don't go.
Don't see it if you don't think you're gonna
don't
like
go.
it.
I mean, I could say, well, I was hanging out with my friend, but that's honestly, even if you think it's gonna suck, I mean, I don't know, man. Just don't. I'm trying to be more open-minded about a lot more things.
But, yeah,
and one of the things is that it's a DC movie. So I've talked about on the show how I don't give a shit about Shazam and shit. I've said that many times. And I said, you know what? That's a really shitty attitude to have. Why don't you go in there? Because you liked the first movie. I did. So why don't you go in there and just enjoy a movie that...
But again...
Let the movie entertain you.
But why did you... But going in, not seeing either, why did you... You didn't hate Black Adam. We had a conversation.
But I've talked about how you don't give a shit about it.
Right. But what I'm saying is, why did you go in with a more open mind for this than you did for Black Adam? Why did you let yourself
Black Adam came first?
enjoy?
No, I'm serious. If Shazam would have came out first, I would have gone in there with the attitude of fuck this movie. And then Black Adam, I would have been like, I better give this more of an open chance. I would have still liked Shazam better.
I disagree. I think it's because you didn't want to like.
Really?
I think that you had look. I get it. I think a lot of people turned on Black Adam because of The Rock and how he handled it.
Sure.
And I think that does play a factor. But if we're being totally honest, from Jump Street,
fair.
From Front Street, from Jump Street, whatever street you want to go from, I would think we will both agree This is a much, much better movie than Black Adam.
Absolutely.
Miles ahead of Black
here,
Adam.
And let me make this clear, too. When I did go into Black Adam with a shitty attitude, I still kind of liked it. And that also led me to kind of say to myself, going into this one, hey, man, not because... Now, listen, it has nothing to do... Those are the last two DC movies to have come out, really. That's the only reason they're being compared to each other. I know there's connections, but that has nothing to do with it. The fact is, this was the next DC movie, and I said to myself, hey, I had a really shitty attitude about Black Adam, and I still was entertained by that. Like, when he first shows up, and they start shooting at him and shit, and he just fucking wastes all of them, that's awesome.
There's good moments in that movie.
Yeah. So,
but anyway.
That's why I wanted to say to myself this time, give yourself a way more open mind, and you'll enjoy it more.
And I wanted to get that discussion kind of out of the way at the beginning, because obviously they're going to be talked about and compared, because whether The Rock likes it or not, Black Adam is Shazam's main villain. I can't say I'm
completely objective. I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that I didn't like Black Adam as much.
I think you had low expectations for this movie, or mid to lower expectations. Black Adam, you had very low expectations, and you were like, eh.
Well, I have that MCU fucking problem, which is I'm always looking for the Easter eggs. I'm always looking for the fucking mid-credits and shit. Like, fucking knock that off. Enjoy the movie.
Sometimes when I go back and I watch a movie after I see it in the theater, I might have different feelings about it.
Sure.
I can tell you this.
Love and Thunder.
Black Adam.
I loved it in the theater, did not like it on rewatch.
Black Adam, I did not change. I watched it, rewatched it a couple weeks ago when my in-laws were in town.
Yeah.
And they had not seen it before, and I had seen it, and I remember sitting there, and I'm like, there's things that I saw in that movie that I'm like, that works for me. That's good. But then there's other things where it's like, this plot line doesn't connect. This doesn't make sense. The villain is shoehorned in at the last minute. Like, there's so many things wrong with that movie.
Dude, and every time Adam Smasher's on screen, he's being a bumbling fucking idiot.
But
and it's like, what?
And that's the comparison I want to make, too. With the first Shazam and this Shazam, both, they really expanded on what I thought this was going to be and excelled at that. Now, this movie isn't like, the perfect DC movie, but I think it's one of the most rewatchable. I think it's one of the most enjoyable. I had a fucking blast watching this movie, and that's what these movies should be.
Can I ask you, this is an interesting question. It's kind of on the spot, but let's stick to DCEU movies. Which one do you think so far has been the best one?
Do we include Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I don't think you should, because it was kind of a fan
For me,
thing.
I would honestly even say with this one, I think both Shazam movies, in my mind, were the best DCEU movies.
Okay, yeah.
For my money, because I am a defender of Batman v Superman. I am a defender of...
Me too.
Look, I don't... The only problem for me with Batman v Superman... well, there's many problems I have with that movie, and we're not going to get into that.
No.
But one of them is I shouldn't have to watch a director's cut to get the full experience.
Right.
And that's what you have to do. If you watch the ultimate cut of BVS, it's much better. But back to Shazam.
Yes.
Let's get into it. Spoilers. We're talking about everything.
Know what mine is?
What were you gonna say?
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Shazam! And then lightning bolt. We're talking about the movie now.
Use it.
Talking about the movie now. Spoilers.
I used it.
Talk about everything.
Yeah.
For starters, I really, really love this Shazam family because they did such a really good job. When I saw that first movie with some friends and we got out of it, and I said, this is how I know that movie really, really worked for me, is when they all get the Shazam, when he shares his powers with his family and they all become the Shazam family, I was fucking going nuts. Like, I was excited for that. I was like, that's so cool. Yeah. Because they did such a good job in that first movie building this family. And then come this movie, it just continues. Like, I think there's a lot of chemistry between the kids. I think they did a really good job, for the most part, translating that to the wizard versions, because the more adult versions, Billy Batson is the only one that like stands out to me where I'm like, what? They did it in the first movie, but why is the adult version of Billy a fucking idiot? And then when he goes back to his regular version, he's this sensitive, guarded drifter kid that finally has a family, and he's clean.
I think
and all that nuance gets worn off when he becomes a wizard.
You mean Shazam? whatever.
Well, yeah, Shazam. But
Listen.
they're wizards. If we
Listen,
brand-
you were saying this on the way out of the theater, and I thought at the time, I was like, you're right. But then now that you're saying it now, I got to be honest, man. He's not Billy a lot in the movie.
He's not. No, it's
And
it's Zachary
so-
Levi's movie.
So I think if you want to look for an in-universe reason or whatever, I think when he is Billy, he's like, this is serious time, you know. But when he's Shazam, he's trying to be overconfident.
Yeah, what I was saying out of
And by the way, Zachary Levi is the best choice for this character, hands down.
Oh, I love.
He's fucking great.
Look, there are going to be people out there that are like staunch defenders of Captain Marvel and Shazam, and like he's not this goofy character. And I'm like, bitch, they made a reference to that silly ass live action show in this movie.
Yeah.
The dude that was the original Shazam is in this movie,
Yes.
and it's a funny little cameo. And it's like the cartoon, the Shazam cartoon, like this was always been.
I grew up with those things. They were horrible.
This was the the golden age, mass crazy adventures, magical characters.
Yeah.
So he's always been kind of silly in some sense. Now I can understand how he got really goofy. Now what I was saying to you,
do you know what his original?
Hold on,
Go ahead.
When we were coming out of the theater, what you were referring to, yeah. What I was saying is they haven't explicitly said this, but this is me picking up, like maybe me reading into it as a viewer, and why I love art so much. My take on it, my brain canon was when he becomes Shazam, it is like I said, it's playtime, because most of his life he hasn't had a childhood, and he's been so guarded, and he's been in and out of the foster care system, and
he's not Billy.
He never had anybody love him.
Nobody's gonna recognize him as Billy.
And so then when he becomes Shazam, they do it in the first movie. He's cocky, or he's funny, or he's out of his shell.
Objectively,
because
Zachary Levi's a good-looking dude. He's tall and whatnot,
Yeah.
so that's probably another thing, confidence.
And I understand that, but I just feel like in this movie, they cranked up his stupidity a little bit, and like made him a little bit goofier than he was in that first. Like he's very goofy in that first movie.
Yeah,
But when Freddy changes to Adam Brody, I feel a continuity there. I'm like, that he looks like him. He's acting like because the younger actor, I got to look up his name, but the younger actor,
Jack Dylan Glazer, I think.
Yes,
Grazer. I don't know.
He was in the It movies. He's great in this.
The reason why I
He's great in the
know
first
is
movie,
because
too.
they were very specific with the credits, which I like. That they're like, hey, this is who that character.
Yeah,
was
he
played
was
by.
he was great in the first movie. He was great in those It movies. I really like him. I told you, I think that dude, Jack. Yeah, you're right. It's Jack Dylan Grazer. He is gonna be he's gonna be a star. Like
So
he steals this movie. Like he is fucking amazing in this movie.
Yeah. Here's an interesting note, is that the only so in the original movie,
But that's-
all of the kids were played by adults as Shazams,
And
right?
you see what I mean with him and Adam Brody working, like that
I get
attitude gets across when he changes.
This is just a side note.
Yes.
About production. Every one of the kids, including the girl who plays in this movie, both Mary and the
Yeah, because she got to a certain age where they're like, let's just make her the same.
Right. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's the only one that plays both parts. Every other character is played by two actors.
And I think Megan Good does a really good job.
She's great.
Of playing playing up that she's
little
like an
kid.
8-year-old. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. That was funny.
Yeah.
And again, just like the first movie, there is a ton.
Just say their name. Destiny's Child did it better.
What makes this movie work is and what made that first movie work is it's so over the top and magical and epic and comic booky, but at the same time it's very grounded in the reality of it. And this is why I always think kids work very, very well as superheroes. Like that whole thing, like Stan Lee got it right with Spider-Man, where he's like, it works if he's a teenager because we can all relate to that. And
We've all been,
yeah, and you're seeing and like for me,
either you are or you've been.
another reason like I really enjoyed this movie is one of those situations where I was getting nostalgic for that age and being like, what that was like being 18 and not having your life figured out and so to see that
I was too hammered to remember that shit.
But to see that played out,
Where's my next beer?
To see that played out for Billy as a power fantasy, and I don't know. I just really love this movie. I can't say I was going in with pretty good expectations, and it did a lot better than I expected. Was it predictable at times?
Mm.
Absolutely. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
still enjoyed the fuck out of this movie.
And there were, to be honest, there's a plot hole or two, whatever. It doesn't ruin the movie by any means.
I'm sorry, I've been so rambly. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. To be one of those douchebags, like, when they were rushing people off of the bridge, right?
Oh my God.
No, I know, right? I'm one of those douchebags. In my mind, I'm like, well, I hope they're cradling their neck or else they're just snapping like, because I'm thinking about real life physics.
Yeah.
I forget that I'm watching a fucking movie.
Or you know what?
And so immediately I was like, shut up, nerd.
One thing
shut up,
that
you
made me a
fucking
little
douche.
annoyed was when they were rescuing their parents and when they're still the Shazam family. And at one point they're running. Like the Shazam people. I'm like, pick them up and fly.
Oh yeah,
Like,
well,
I was like,
yeah.
you got to add tension.
Also, there were a couple moments where it was really, really easy for them to just, hey, you're not a Shazam anymore. Ha! And like, shit.
Yeah.
How do you fight them? I thought the solution to beating them was really, 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 really needlessly complicated. I think it added about 20 minutes to a movie that is enjoyable.
What, are you talking about the dome stuff?
Just all of it. Just the whole the whole last part where he's going to her and she's like, you know what to do, and he's like, you know what to do, and like, what is he gonna do? I don't know. And then it's just really like, okay, listen, here's what we're gonna do, okay? But again, starting with the movie in that first part where I'm being that douchebag nerd, like, well, actually, if real life physics did it, right?
Yeah.
And by that point in the movie, it's almost the end of the movie. By that point, I have suspended all disbelief.
I mean, there's a giant wooden dragon,
right? And
that paralyzes people with fear.
And stop and let me finish my point. Don't make it for me. You're right, but no, it's so much better when you go into a movie and you let yourself just be like taken away with the journey and shit. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is a fucking objectively.
Oh my God!
Stop.
How many times do you have to mention that movie?
Make my point.
You've made your point about that fucking movie. But anyway, continue. You're talking about same thing with Indiana Jones, Chris.
It's a shitty movie objectively, but when I went to the theater that summer, right, exactly. This is the same thing. I wanted a movie-going experience. I got it. I got the spectacle, and I got misty a couple times because the character building and the emotional weight of these characters is palpable. It's real, and when of course it's tugging on your heartstrings and stuff, but when they're all standing outside of the dome and he's about ready to make the sacrifice, that's when he says, I'm Captain Every Power Junior or whatever, or whatever, and he laughs. Even though he's really sad, he just laughs out of.
See, now that's a moment where it felt like they finally got the continuity right with between Zachary Levi and the Billy.
Right.
That was one of the times I'm like, you got it there.
But those are moments when the Freddie Freeman character when he laughs, those are moments that are like real life.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're crying your eyes out, something happens and you laugh. You don't. Everybody grieves differently, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed all the interactions. Dude, there was that moment where they sent, let's talk about Steve. Steve was probably the best part of the movie almost. The magic writing pen. But they send Helen Mirren.
That was the funny. Yeah, that was probably the funniest.
Well, you're already dying because of the whole Destiny's Child joke. Because that's going on when she gets
a great example. And again, what I love about this movie is it does a great job. And I will say there are times
writing a letter.
Sometimes it kind of loses its tone a little bit, but I think when you look, if you go in,
but genuine laughs. I had genuine laughs.
It's just like the first movie. You got to know what you're getting into. It's a comedy with action. So
yes.
there's so much opportunity for this to be jokey, and that's what it does. But there's times when they fucking nail it, and it's when they make up this whole mythology of if you write a letter to a god, it magically sends it out to them, and they can read it. So she's torturing this kid because one of the sisters is that she has the power to control or power of chaos, and by doing that, she can
she whispers something.
if you're
and they do
weak-minded,
something.
you'll do it. And like one part, again, like the first movie, gets kind of dark where the teacher comes out and they make him walk off the
what
building.
The fuck,
I'm like, shit.
right?
But anyway, she's like trying, and it's like seriously intense. His eyes are black. There's like whispering, and it's like this really fucking crazy scene. And again, the kid's killing it, and she keeps saying, say their name, you know, like whatever, trying to get who the other Shazam members are. And then, he's Destiny's Child did it better.
Yeah,
and it's
he
like,
just grunts it out.
and there's like you're talking about in the dome, and there's just moments. I love it when a movie can work its tone, balance its tone, where like it's something really serious and a lot of, you know, emotional weight, and then immediately have the levity of that
when
joke.
she's reading that letter,
and then it goes to the letter sequence, which holy fuck.
You know when you laugh and it's hard to breathe because you're laughing so hard? That was a moment
That
for me.
that one was the one that I think got the most laughs in the theater too. It was because she gets that
Do
letter.
we have Gatorade? I want a red.
She's reading it, and the thing is, he'll say whatever. It's like
he's writing whatever you're saying. Yeah,
it's like you're in court. They type everything you're saying, you know. So they're going, but they're all like brainstorming this letter.
We can't do it justice. It's
No,
so
you
good.
have to see it in
You
the
have to
movie.
watch it. Yeah.
And it's literally of like, wait, should we look over this draft and make a second draft?
She's reading
and then
it
another
like so deadpan though.
And then another character, nah, Steve knows what he's doing. You just say what you're thinking. He'll write it out perfectly fine. And then, by the way, do we have Gatorade? I want a red one.
I want a red one. What is a Gatorade?
But yeah, again, I think this movie
But
does a good job. Some people might say it's sloppy. I like it. I think it works well when they balance the more serious shit with a joke.
Dude, you know what was one of the best comedic moments was when Freddy gets locked in the cell with the wizard, and the wizard is just being an asshole to him.
Yes.
That shit was hilarious.
You didn't mention how sarcastic you were.
Right, like
I don't even sound.
God, I don't even sound like that.
Is that a tooth? I found a tooth.
I found a tooth.
I think they did. I honestly think they let the camera roll a little bit and kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's some shit you got to know is improvised. But
yeah, Jimon Hounsu play. He kills it.
he's great in that. Well,
Yeah.
the part
He's got a bigger part in this one really than the first one too.
when he touches her on the chest and goes boop hero.
Yeah.
And he fucking rolls his eyes in the back like he did what I did. I was like, good job. Good
Okay,
job, movie.
I don't know if you noticed this, but
In
for
the
a while,
background?
yes, were you doing the same thing? Okay, so it starts with like a wide shot during
Super
what we're talking
dramatic
about,
scene.
right? And
This is where Billy's gonna be
noticed
the
it
hero.
too. Jake and I are the same guy.
The wizard's just in the background.
Jimon Hounsu as the wizard in the background, and he's just being like, "What the fuck? Come on, let's go." And
Like
shit.
somebody forgot to tell him to get out of frame,
Right.
Like, and he's just kind of hanging out in the back, like.
And then they show the joke, but Jake and I are already in on it because he's been doing it for fucking 5 minutes already. It's like, okay, well, we already know the joke.
I really think that might have been an error. I think they might have just forgot to tell him to get out of frame, or he didn't know where his mark was, or he's in the wrong mark, or I don't know. But it is funny because he's just kind of scratching his arm, just hanging out in the
he's like,
background.
Fine, what the fuck?
Okay, you did a good job.
Yeah,
I'll give you my
yeah,
speech, and then
yeah.
she fucking has his speech. But that scene's great, though. By the way, emotionally, very hits great when she says, "I want to talk to Billy. I want to talk to my son." So then he turns back,
Gosh.
and they have that moment where, and the kid nailed it, like the crying and
Single tear.
the single. It was great. Again,
The
this
special
movie
effects
works-
were great.
This movie works so well because it was casted so well, and they really nailed the family. And you're right. Maybe because this movie's been put on the shelf like 3 fucking times, they had time to actually make the visual effects work in this movie.
I there wasn't ever a moment where I was like, "Ooh, bad CGI." You know, there really wasn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe they did a lot more practical shit, and maybe that's why it looked so good. I know, like a lot
Again,
of
I think it's because they had so much time. That
I
it's
know
been
a lot of the
delayed.
damage, like when he pushes her, when he slams her down through the street into that lower garage.
Yeah.
You know that was really like
there's
they broke
stunts,
this
yeah.
right. So I mean, I think that was part of it. Is that I think they did a lot more practical stuff than some superhero movies do.
I really dug,
But great special effects.
I really love the fight that he had with Helen Mirren in that when he like knocks her down and then they're fighting.
Oh yeah, the
And-
end.
Not when they capture her, So when they're fighting, and then she's got them tied up, and she's like choking. Again, this movie sometimes really leans into its violence a little bit, which is a little bit more surprising in a movie like this. But yeah, so she's like choking him out, and he goes, "Did your dad have super speed?" And he like spins around her, and it smashes her into the wall. And I was like, again, me as the viewer, I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" Like they're doing a good job. I'm like, "Thank you, Billy. You're learning. You're figuring this shit out." Like. You want to root for Billy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what? Yeah. She's choking him out, and she's standing in one place. He's basically on the ground, like just done for. And she's making this fucking giant rock with all this shit, like, and basically
she's elemental.
Gonna move it directly to the left, not, follow him. And he recognizes that, and he's like, "Wait a second! If I just fucking switch places with her when she's not,
I spin around and shove her, yeah."
She'll get hit by the thing
because she doesn't have super speed.
Guess.
There you go. No,
I guess he didn't. Booyah! No, but he kills it. He kills it. Everybody in this movie pretty much kills it.
I really enjoyed. Really enjoyed it. I think
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, dude. I do have some issues with this.
I'm sure you do.
One of them is the ending. Now, I thought the whole point, for me, and this is just because this is where I thought this was going narratively, I thought the whole thing was going to be like, I didn't think they were going to kill him. Because at the end of the movie, he destroys the dragon, kills 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 that lady and everything, like sacrifices himself, and he's dead, right? And in my mind, I'm like, well, clearly he's not dead. Like, they're going to bring him back, you know? How they did it was great, because it was a really funny joke, and similar what they did at the first movie, and then just amped it up another level to actually having Gal Gadot do it. But like, just the fact that he just, like you were mentioning, that they can willy-nilly just throw the wizard powers into these people, and it just kind of like, I thought the whole point was going to be that they all lose. This is what I would have done, Ryder Jake here. Don't take what I say with a grain of salt. But what I would have done, what I thought would have made more sense on his character arc, he can't. Sure, he does get brought back to life, but he cannot give back the power of Shazam. Or maybe there was just enough Wonder Woman gave it enough spark to bring him back, or whatever.
Right.
Because to me, the whole point of it was he's got to let these people go. But then they kind of just didn't. I feel like to finish that idea for me, he's the only one that can be Shazam.
You just hate families. I mean,
I don't know. That being said,
you just hate people being together.
That being said, that is how I would have done it. But I
would have done the same
But
thing.
I like this family, and I think this family tests well, and they want these characters back in the next.
But here's exactly why, and this is why, and now.
But you see what I'm saying with that idea of like just him being Shazam?
I don't think it was the aged out as much as So I remember when Shazam came out, and I actually watched all the special features, and they were talking about how the original. So the actress who played Mary Marvel is now playing. Is her name Mary? Character Mary?
Yeah, the character's name is Mary.
Okay, is now playing Mary also.
Yes.
Right. And if I remember correctly, because Freddie Freeman is at that age, whatever, right? And
well, you also got to
so
keep in
is
mind,
Billy Batson, kind of.
You also have to keep in mind this was filmed like probably 2 years ago.
Right, but what I was going to say is that, you're going to have that problem with as they age, but
Yeah.
Hang on. But what I was thinking is when Freddie Freeman gets turned into Adam Brody, even though Freddie Freeman might be like an adult or a young man, I think it still works because it's an amplified version of him.
Yeah.
So I don't. I agree with your writing idea, but I would have used it to get out of that hassle, and I realize there's no hassle. I'm really glad that I told you all about that.
I'm totally fine with them having the family because I like the family, so I want to see more of that.
Well, also, good for you.
Also, I love the fact that they had Pedro be gay, and the way that he came out is when they all were like getting ready to say we're the Shazam, or we're superheroes.
Yeah.
Is what they're gonna say, and he's like, I'm gay, and then we're like, but yeah, we know, buddy. Yeah. And I've never personally had that happen, but there's been times where I find out someone I know is gay, and I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I just love how they're just so accepting of it. Like, we know, whatever.
Yeah.
I like that. Again, because it adds to that family just being a loving, caring home for these kids that they don't get. And that's why it's so easy to root for them.
Is the reason why is this movie not great tomato score or whatever? Is that why we haven't seen a lot of grifts about?
Oh, because there's no money in it, probably.
Because I haven't. I mean, you haven't said anything.
You know, the narrative is going to be like the shitty box office. But if I'm being totally honest, there's no one to blame on this movie being a failure than DC themselves.
Because I'm glad they're not saying shit because I'm tired of them.
I am too. But here's my thing: this movie, I love this.
But
movie.
I find it interesting that it's a poorly.
I love this movie, but I know it's gonna. I have a strong feeling it's gonna be a flop.
Probably.
And it's the
amount of money it costs.
It's nobody's fault but DC's because this is their reputation.
Hey, by the way, Lego, where's my DC Shazam set? You fucks.
Honestly, I had not really seen that much promotion of it throughout. And usually, like I feel like when I saw more ads for Black Adam than I did for Shazam, to be honest.
Oh yeah, the marketing push for Black Adam was far greater,
which I think again sucks because I think both Shazam movies are the stronger DCEU movies, and especially this movie. Now, I just don't know what they're gonna do. Because I feel like logically the next step would have been Black Adam, and because I said back in this
finger on my face, man.
back when they were showing this shit off at Comic-Con,
he was picking my nose.
Last
almost.
summer, I said, guys, this is the setup. You put out Black Adam in October. You have Shazam coming out in December. You have a scene with Black Adam at the end, and then have him show like that was almost too perfect. And then they fucked that up because Dwayne Johnson wants to fight fucking Superman.
No, he wants to fight Henry Cavill
instead of actually fighting the hero. If you want to do Black Adam movie, fine, but you have to pay that off with Shazam.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are you doing? What are you doing? They even used the same guy, the same wizard.
Growing up, I really liked Chewbacca. Okay, I really liked him a lot. But what I thought was a big problem was that Han Solo was always around.
Fucking Han Solo.
So what I wanted to do was I wanted to make a Chewbacca movie without Han Solo. That's interesting, The Rock. What are you going to do for your next movie? You know what I really liked about Starsky and Hutch is Starsky, but I really didn't like Hutch.
No.
So next movie,
even better.
Starsky.
Even better.
Hutch.
It's a Starsky and Hutch movie with me and Kevin Hart. That's time out. Now I kind of want that movie. Shit.
No, it's going to work. You're not even going to give me any props on my Dwayne The Rock impression.
It wasn't great. If you're gonna do The Rock, you gotta do like his promos from pro wrestling days,
No,
The Rock says,
because that's The Rock. That's not Dwayne Johnson.
Wait, they're different. I thought they were the same. Anyway,
move on.
Final thoughts, final grades.
Really liked it.
I gave it 5 wizards. No,
I'd give it 5.
If I were to give it a grade, wow. If I were to give it a grade, I think you guys know how much I love it. A+. I fucking love this movie.
I'll give it a solid A.
It exceeded every expectation I had. It did everything I wanted.
Actually, A- because it was DC.
And I will say this to put a bow on it. I think there's a lot of criticism of it because we are again still living in
because there's a gay character.
No, because we're living in a post Endgame world
Huh.
where every superhero movie's got to redefine the genre and all these other things. Like you said, it's gonna change my perception. It doesn't look like it. But this movie is a great example. It's okay to play it safe and have fun.
Do you remember why I always said that I didn't give a fuck about this movie is because of that? You remember that?
But then you watched it and the characters won you over.
No, and I went into this movie going, I don't give a fuck if this changes my life or if this fucking reveals something about the DCEU. Because, well, dude, that's why I haven't been able to really enjoy an MCU movie in a long time because I got stuck in that fucking rut of like, where's the Easter eggs? Where's the next... what's the end credit? Like, stop that. Right. Stop that shit. Go to the movie and enjoy the movie. Have some popcorn and some soda and a fucking pizza. Because we went to Flicks. By the way, Flicks has it all over every other theater with the pre-movie stuff.
Wow. Just gonna keep going.
I'm going to go into Flicks this week and get us a promotion from them.
I don't have the time
for
that.
No, I'm going to. No, we'll get free beer for you whenever you go. All we got to do every week is go, brought to you by Flicks.
Oh.
Brew House.
Anyway, A+ for me. A for Tyler.
A minus because it's DC.
A minus. Wow.
I gotta add the DC.
Such a
The
fucking-
DC.
Oh well, actually, did you know this thing about Celestials? No, nobody fucking cares about Celestials, Tyler. God damn it.
Will you do that one more time?
What?
Do that one more time. That was funny.
ask me to think about Celestial. Fucking nerd. All right. Anyway, moving on.
What was this thing?
By the way, how
What
can
is
I?
this
How,
thing?
how can I?
Are you just? Is this how you denote
Tyler-
that you have glasses on? Is just pointing to your fucking
This
nose?
is a like pop culture movie, TV, comic book show, and I'm calling you a fucking nerd.
I know.
Okay?
No,
Come
well,
on.
I thought that's why it was so funny. Because I am. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.